This is just a short talk called Learning Logic, a few tips for how to successfully do the logic modules in my intro philosophy course. Most people have been quite successful using the written guides, but I think based on experience there are a few things I could tell you that might help you to approach it, especially if you've not done this kind of material before. First of all, approach it as you would learning a language or learning a musical instrument. If you practice a little every day, that's far better than trying to do it all at once. I don't know if you've ever taken music lessons, put off practicing, put off practicing, put off practicing. I have to meet with the teacher tomorrow, I better practice for 5 hours today. Usually doesn't work out quite as well. Various artists, particularly in the early medieval times, gave the advice, if you wish to be able to draw, the key is draw a little bit every day. Okay? Likewise, if you're learning a language, clearly for most people it's far more effective to study daily, a moderate amount daily, than to try to do it all at once. Speaking of learning a language, I like to say when people are beginning the study of logic for the first time, I like to tell a story about my Sanskrit professor. After the first few times we had met, learning Sanskrit grammar, learning the Sanskrit alphabet, which is very complex because it's completely phonetic, he said to us, that he sympathized with how hard we were working and how daunting it might seem. And he said, indeed, learning Sanskrit is so daunting, it's impossible, unless you are either a computer or a 4-year-old Indian child. I thought, okay, we've been humbled. Okay, we just need to get to work. Well, I assure you that nothing you're going to study in the logic modules in the intro philosophy course is anywhere approaching learning Sanskrit, so you're good. Okay, but do approach it by doing a little every day. Don't try to do it all at once. It's very unlikely you're going to absorb it properly if you try to do it all at once. Get the definitions clear and accurate. The reason for studying logic is because certain propositions, certain ideas, certain statements either entail the truth of others or are incompatible with the truth of others or entail the falsehood of others. That's how philosophers do the work of analysis. Okay? Logic is the tool. You have to use the tool with some degree of precision. Now, the way to begin that is to learn the definitions. Be sure that you have a clear understanding of the definitions, that you understand accurately. Okay? Occasionally I'll get a student who will just have a sort of a very vague account of what particular terms mean. Well, valid kind of means that it's related, right? Well, no, I mean, there are any number of relationships besides validity that are possible, so is related is not an adequate definition of valid. And you'll find out what valid within the context of deductive logic, what valid means. But for now, just understand you have to get the definitions. Those are the building blocks. In fact, if you understand the definitions, I always say this: if you understand the definitions, when I ask you a question, pick out the key terms, define them clearly, and the question will have already answered itself. You may need to read the material more than once. Okay, just understand that from the beginning. Don't think you're going to breeze through it and say, oh, well, I guess I got it. No, probably not, unless you just have a real knack for this sort of thing. One reading may not be enough. Now, there's not a very extensive amount of material, but you do need to cover that material carefully. Okay? Do the practice exercises. I've included practice exercises with the answers provided. Take that seriously. Do the practice exercises carefully. Compare your answers to the answers I provided carefully. Okay? Use that opportunity to tether down your understanding. Okay? Do you have any questions, particularly if you're not sure that your answers to the practice exercises are really the same thing as I'm saying in the answers that I'm providing, or if you have any confusion about what a term means or doesn't mean, ask me, okay? Don't let the confusion just sit there and bubble, okay? Ask me, get some clarification. If you don't get the basics clear, it's kind of like math in this way. If you don't get the basics clear, when we go on to additional material that's going to presume knowledge of those basics, you may find yourself making ever larger errors. Okay, well, no point in getting that far and having to go back and do it over. Just be very, very careful and systematic and disciplined from the beginning. And the good news is something like 80% of the students who have taken this material from me have scored a grade of B or better, with the preponderance of those grades being in the A range. So this is entirely doable, and you can do it. Okay, and as I say, any questions, ask.